Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to another episode of Dr.NostalgiaGamer. Today I'm going to be doing a quick unboxing and review video of the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild strategy guide put out by, I believe the company's called Piggyback. I quite literally, just pulled this out of the mailbox and unboxed it, and I figured I'd go ahead and do a unwrapping and just do a quick review of it so that you guys can see what's going on the inside. But anyway, so let's get started with this. Alright, so we'll start with the outside of it here. So let's take a look at this is the front cover of it. You can see it's a really beautiful artwork design. You can see Link climbing up one of the mountains there, which is something you do quite a bit in this game. You can see the mountain range there. You can see the hills in the background. You can see one of the towers there. You can see a bridge there. I don't know if you can see a shrine. There's another tower there. I don't know exactly where this is in the game, if this was shot, but it's pretty cool. Nice, beautiful sort of skyline there. On the side of it, we can see the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild logo there. I haven't taken the plastic wrap off, but I'll do that in just a second. Then we can see the binding. It's written in gold. It says the complete official guide, and specifically this is the collector's edition. This isn't just the regular version. This is the collector's edition. I got lucky. These usually are about 40 bucks. I think the cheaper ones, the non-collector's edition ones, and this is hardback by the way, the non-collector's edition ones I think are like $25 or $30. I got this for $25 on Amazon with free shipping using Amazon Prime, so I got a pretty good deal on it. Let's see, on the back of it, it's got like a little cover here or something. It says, "It's dangerous to go alone, take this." So that's a quote from the very first game. We've got some stuff here written from the Piggyback team. I'm not going to read all of that to you. Basically just says that it was a joy to create this. This game is a masterpiece which exceeds accomplishments of this celebrated lineage, and just, you know, stuff like that. We've got an image of the book open there, some pictures. This is more just like if you had found this in like a Barnes & Noble or a GameStop and wanted to read about what was included. Let's see. We've got at-a-glance walkthroughs, 100% authoritative, expert combat strategies, puzzle masters, comprehensive references, and there at the bottom it says it includes a two-sided, fully annotated map poster covering the immense game area, the ultimate navigational aid, which is pictured off there to the right. On the bottom we've got often imitated, never equaled exclusive game data. I think this is more just about the company. Then we've got a bonus printed on superior quality paper, extra large map poster, bonus 16-page concept art tour with hand-picked illustrations, and it's a premium hardcover book. Copyright Piggyback on the back there. You can see that this retails for $39.99 in the US and $50 in Canada. Like I said, I got it for $25, so I got really lucky there. Anyway, so I'll go ahead and put the plastic wrap off, and then we'll go from there. Alright, so here's the cover and stuff again, just in case the glare was kind of hard for you guys to see. I'll just do a quick showing of that once again. Really beautiful artwork here. This could be displayed. It's such a pretty book. It could be displayed on its own. And then we've got the side label there, Breath of the Wild written in gold. Got the complete official edition. The complete official guide, collector's edition. And then on the back of it here, whoops, I think my map's falling out there. On the back of it, this is the back of the guide here, so this is with this little piece of paper removed there. On the back of it, we can see the pretty skyline and the clouds. We can see the Castle of Hyrule there. We can see some more towers. Another bridge. This is more of like a drawing of the game, which is also sort of a drawing style. But we got Mount Doom there, billowing smoke and bad things. That looks like it's probably the Temple of Time, I think, in the game. But anyway, so nice hardback book there. So I guess we'll go ahead and open her up now, see what's on the inside. So open it up. Nice little intro page here. We've got the symbol of the game on that nice green paper. Here's the map that's included. I don't think I'll be able to show you guys the whole thing because it's supposedly pretty darn big. So here's part of it. Nice picture of Link there. I think this was actually a limited edition cover that came on a couple of the... it was a cover variation that came on a couple of the Switch versions of the game. And we've got a little guide here about what different symbols mean. I think it's a two-sided map. Like I said, I'm not really going to be able to open this whole thing up because you guys won't be able to see it anyway, but I'll just show you guys kind of parts of it. So you can see the map here. Everything on the map's labeled, including all the shrines, all the towers, all the major areas, which is pretty nice. Now, I'm glad they didn't make me have to peel this thing out like old school stuff. And there's another type of map on the other side too, so just so you guys know. If I can, I'll try to do a little bit better view of that later, but for now I'm going to just move on from that. So anyway, so that's stuck in there. That's not something you have to rip out where you're going to end up damaging it, so that's nice. And I don't believe the regular edition comes with that. We've got the content here, which is, as you can see, is quite a bit of stuff. Let's see. We've got the foreword, which is actually pretty cool. It's got the original Japanese writing on the left, or Chinese, Japanese, I think it's Japanese. And then on the right, we've got the translated version in English. You can see that was written by the Eiji Onuma, the producer of Breath of the Wild, and then you've got his signature there at the bottom, which is also pretty darn awesome. We got another little thing here, same sort of situation, except this is by Hidemaru Fujibashi, which is the director of Breath of the Wild, and he's got his signature and his little writing too. That's pretty darn cool. We've got a quick start guide here, which is just sort of some kind of basic stuff, it looks like, just basic information about the game, things like that. Let's see. The primer is the introductory chapter. Really cool images, nice full color images. The reason why I actually bought this guide, in case you guys didn't already know from watching previous videos where I've talked about this, me and my mom used to play Ocarina of Time, and she had one of the old Prima paper strategy guides, and we used that thing so much and found every little nook and cranny of that game, to the point which my mom had memorized the game and could play it with that. The strategy guide knew where everything was, knew how to complete the main mission and everything, could do everything. We used that thing so much that it actually wore out the pages on it. So I bought this as sort of a tribute to that memory in gaming for myself, and decided to pick up one for this new game, which in my opinion is very similar to Ocarina of Time. So we've got the primer that just has some really basic stuff about the on-screen display. The biggest complaint I read about this book, and I am noticing that as well, is how small the font is. The font is very, very tiny, especially underneath these pictures. Now, the comment that was made to me by somebody who owned this book when I was trying to decide if I wanted to buy it or not was that if you're wanting to read this book while playing the game, meaning without having to pause the game in the middle of it and playing, you're probably not going to be able to do it because your eyes are not going to have trouble focusing from the TV to this little tiny print. But if you're willing to pause your game and read it, then it's just fine. You can see we've got really nice full-color, high-res images there. Very, very cool. Some directions, and they even include, they've got like arrows and stuff. Sorry. New book, it's hard to keep up with. It's got arrows and stuff drawn where it kind of shows you where you need to go and what you need to do in order to unlock certain things in the game. We have some landmarks and points of interest. Let's see. Got some information about combat, how to progress your character. Let's see. Try to find some other... Okay, so here's the actual walkthrough of the game. Once again, really beautiful full-color images there. This is going to be the actual walkthrough of how to actually beat the game itself. Starting off from the very beginning and going through it. It talks about the prologue section, which is done on the Great Plateau. If you guys have played this game or have heard anything about it, you know that the prologue happens on the Great Plateau. Plateau, and then it you end up unlocking and realizing just how big this freaking map is later. It gives you a step-by-step walkthrough on every part of the game, which I'm not going to go through too much of just because I don't want to spoil anything for anybody. And you know, it's just it'll be easier that way if I don't spoil anything for anybody. I don't want to spoil anything for myself either, honestly. I just want I just want to look through it. Then once you get to 324, you end up with the extras section. Nice picture of Princess Zelda there, which has, let's see, it says it has, this chapter covers activities and challenges not listed in the adventure log, many of which contribute to overall completion rate. We also document and discuss a variety of optional objectives, ranging from mini games to secret missions and features. So that's pretty cool. And let's see, so I think actually through here, it splits off into different areas, so it talks about different bosses, you've got different weapons, it talks about the different shrines, their locations, and how to unlock them, all of the towers. Really cool. So that's all covered in here in the main walkthrough section. Then it has different sections about every different area, and all the main missions, and I believe all the side missions are in here as well, covered in the walkthrough. The walkthrough is sort of the main meat of the game. All the towers, all the shrines, the main mission, the side missions, all that stuff is all covered in the walkthrough, which is the reason why it's like 320 pages or something long. But anyway, so then we got the extra section that talks about sub-bosses and the Korok seeds, mini-games. Then we've got this section, the Hyrule Compendium, which is the complete Hyrule guide of, like, this is everything you can find in the game, and then it gives you notes on, like, where to find it, the official name of it, and then it's divided up. Here's the creatures, here's the monsters, here's the materials, you know, stuff like that. So it gives you that, and like I said, the best place to find it. Then it's got secrets and Easter eggs, which I'm not going to go through because, once again, I don't want to spoil anything for anybody, and also, you know, if you're planning on getting the guide, I don't want that to ruin that for you either. And then it's got a list of all the Easter eggs and their locations. Let's see. Then in the back here, we've got some concept art. It says concept art. This section offers a concept art tour of assorted characters, monsters, locales, animals encountered in Breath of the Wild, with a variety of illustrations offering visual insights into the development process of the game. So this is actually really cool. You can see these are hand-drawn images made by the developers when they were trying to decide how they were going to color everything and how they were going to design everything. You know, different hairstyles for even different, down to different hairstyles of Princess Zelda. That's pretty cool. We've got different characters throughout the game. That's pretty cool. You can see the original Japanese when they were writing and making notes to themselves about the old man and the way he would look. We've got lots of characters here, lots of the main characters throughout the game, which I won't go into too much detail about yet because I haven't personally beaten the game yet, so I don't want to ruin it for myself or you guys. We've got all of the animals you can find throughout the game, all of the monsters that can be found throughout the game. Really cool images. There's the Bokoblin, which is the most common enemy in the game. Variations. All sorts of cool stuff here. We've got different monsters that can be encountered throughout the game. Drawings. It's just really cool. We've got Hyrule and the different dungeons throughout the game. All, like I said, concept art drawings and stuff of those. Really cool. And then at the very end, we've got the index, which has the specific information. Like, for example, if you want to know how to, I don't know if you guys can read that, but if you want to know, for example, how to complete a Brother's Roast Shrine quest, you can go to page 202, and it will give you the information on how to beat that shrine quest, which is pretty cool. So here's page 202. So you can see that this is information on that particular quest and how to beat it. So that's pretty darn cool. Like I said, so that's the index at the back there. You got a cool picture of the Master Sword. And at the end, we've got credits, which is credits for the actual guide itself, which is pretty cool. Then we've got the symbol again on the final page, and then that's it. That's the whole guide. Obviously, there's a whole lot of information in here, and it would take hours for me to probably go through all of it, so obviously I can't do that. I also don't want to do that because I haven't personally finished the game yet. I got this guide to help me with beating the game because I got tired of looking up things online. I said, you know, this isn't right, it doesn't feel right. When I was a kid, that's not how I played games. I didn't look up online and find out how to do things. I either figured it out myself or bought a strategy guide and read it if necessary to figure out how to do things. So I didn't want to do that with this game because this game kind of has a little bit of nostalgia to me already just because it reminds me so much of playing Ocarina of Time with my mom. In fact, I actually invited my mom recently to come over to my house just to watch me play this game and to play it if she wanted as well. And she told me that she'd be afraid to come over because she'd be afraid she would never leave. She ended up spending so much time playing the game. But anyway, so that is the complete official strategy guide for Zelda Breath of the Wild made by Piggyback. This is specifically the collector's edition, which is a little bit more rare, a little bit more expensive, but it's nicer and has the hardback and comes with that awesome map poster as well. So really awesome. I'm really excited to have it, and I'm excited that I was able to do a review of it for you guys, and I'm excited that I'll be able to use it myself in finishing out the game as well. So here is the first side of the navigation map, which I wanted to show you guys off. I figured I'd go ahead and show it. You can see it's quite large. It's a very large poster. As you can see, it's about the size of my coffee table, which is a pretty darn big size here. Like I said, you can see Link down here over this nice, beautiful drawn image here. We've got the navigation map over here showing off what each thing means. And then we've got the different areas here that are drawn out. You can see here we've got the Great Plateau Tower region with all the shrines labeled, Shrine of Resurrection, Kenamut Shrine, Owadime Shrine, Jabaji Shrine, sorry I'm probably pronouncing these wrong, Great Plateau Tower, and Oman Shrine. And you can see that I love this game so much because this little tiny area here is where you play the prologue. And this area seems pretty big when you play the game. And as I've stated in other videos and made comments to other people that I know, this area is the prologue, and this is where you're confined for that first little bit of the game. But once you get past that, this area opens up, and all of a sudden this whole map, and this area seems huge when you're first playing the game, but then this map opens up, and you can go to anywhere on this map as long as you have the items and the skills and just the patience to go there. And I mean, just this little tiny area feels huge, and yet you can see this map's probably at least 10, if not closer to 15 or 20 times as large as that little area there. And what I've been told and read is that every single Zelda game ever made up until Breath of the Wild would fit into this area. Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, Skyward Sword, Twilight Princess, all of them would fit into this little prologue area of the map. And you've got this huge freaking area. And I mean, it blows my mind. It's absolutely gorgeous. I love the poster. Definitely, it was definitely worth, for me, since I didn't have to pay anything extra, it was definitely worth buying the collector's edition, because I got the cooler version that's nicer and comes with the poster and a couple of other extra little features and didn't pay anything more for it. But anyway, so now I'm going to go ahead and flip over the map so you guys can see the other side of it. Alright, so here's side B of the map. This is very similar to the other side, except from what I can tell, it looks like off to the left here, it includes some images that have numbers that correspond to areas on the map, just to give you little pictures of what everything looks like. And then you've got, on the top left, it says the Hyrule Completionist Map, which I guess the idea is that this is how, if you want to go through the game and beat every single main part of the game, as well as all the side missions and collect all the items and the armor and all that stuff. This is sort of the map of how to do that you have to follow. And I mean, that's really cool that they included this as well. But anyway, I just wanted to show you guys side B of the map as well. Since it is a two-sider, I actually think I like side B more as far as the way it looks, but I like side A better because it's got the picture of Link in the corner. So it'll be hard for me to decide which side I'm going to hang up on the wall. But anyway, so I mean, that's it for the maps. So it's been a little while since I made the original review of the guide here, and I realized that after having used it for a while, that I didn't really talk a lot in my review about the actual issues with this, and there actually are quite a few. I kind of made it sound like this was just the best thing ever and that it was perfect, and it certainly isn't perfect, and there's a lot of issues with it, so I decided to make a short list while I was using the guide throughout playing the game, and figured since I hadn't posted the video yet that I would go ahead and add this to the end of it as sort of like a cons section. I'm going to consider the first like 2/3 or so of this video as being the sort of pros section, so this is going to be sort of the cons section, things that I sort of didn't like as I went. And actually, the more and more I use this guide to play the game, whether it be side quests, shrines, towers, main quests, Korok seeds, whatever, the more I use this guide, the more problems I find, and actually the less I like it. So I figured now that I've had some time to use it, I would do sort of an update in the same video of kind of like, well, this is, after a few days of using it, this is kind of my new opinion. So anyway, so to start off with, we already mentioned before from what we had seen that the font is very, very small, and it takes a lot to read it. So, I mean, it still, for me, isn't a huge issue, But I will say that you do kind of need a lot of light to be in the room in order, at least in my case, to be able to really read everything. You needed a lot of light. Specifically, my issue with the font size is that, which I'll get more into later, but there's a lot of details for a lot of small details that the developers kind of left out, and with the extra space, adding those details would have been so easy, especially at the font size that they chose for this book. So that's a con that I feel is an issue. A lot of people really take problem with that. I don't think that's as big of a deal as some of these other things I'm going to mention, but I just thought I would reiterate that point now that I've had some more time to use it. So it seems like there's a lot of areas in the guide where things were left out, almost like the developers weren't quite finished writing the book yet when they actually released it. For example, in the towers section of the guide, which I don't know exactly where that is sort of now, but in the tower section of the guide, I couldn't find, now this is the shrines, but for the tower section of the guide, I couldn't find the Gerudo Tower, which is really kind of pretty weird, because the Gerudo Tower is one of the towers in the game, and yet the Gerudo Tower didn't have a region. So, all the regions are listed here in the guide, and it's shown on the map, but there's no, section of this dedicated to the Gerudo Tower, and I feel like that's not right. And I think that's the only tower in the whole manual the whole guide that doesn't have its own tower region. And that could just be that there aren't that many, items in the area, that many, quests and stuff to do. And that very well may be possible, but to me it should have had something, some kind of little section that's like, hey, so this is the Gerudo Tower. As you can see, if you saw any of that, you'll see that I actually wasn't able to find it even there looking through it. So, little things like that, I feel like are details that it's almost like they forgot. Like when they were making this guide, they just sort of were still kind of in the editing process, and somebody didn't catch these little things. And just for me having used it, I'm starting to catch these little details and issues that could have made it better. One of the other things that I've noticed is in the main walkthrough, there is a section called Intermission, where it tells you about stuff you can do in the meantime before you go fight Ganon, if you'd like. Things you can do that will help you defeat Ganon. And one of those things that they recommend is I don't know if you guys can see this, is the Captured Memories section. And I was really disappointed with how the developers, or the writers of this book, I guess I should say, the publishers, decided to set up this section, because it's 2 pages. This huge part. I mean, this is one of the big, main quest missions, sort of the side of the main quest missions, but this is one of the big parts, and there's so little here. You get so little information about what you need to do. In fact, total, the only thing you get is a small little snippet here about what you're doing, a couple of very tiny images of what the photos are inside of your book, a little thing here telling you about how if you find all 12, there's a 13th you can unlock, and then just simply pictures of what each one looks like with a little line drawn on the map to show you where it is. Well, this may not seem like a big deal, but this map isn't detailed in the same way that the map on the actual game is. And because of that, it's really hard to tell, the textures are different. This doesn't have nearly the texture of the map on the actual game. So it's really hard to tell exactly where these little dots are pointing. So I felt like, although this gave me a good general idea of where I was looking, I spent a lot of time actually trying to find it myself, and to me that was just silly. The whole point of having a guide like this is so that I don't have to spend all this tedious time looking for things if I don't want to. It's right there in front of me. And that's the way this should have been, but it wasn't. And they only made it 2 pages long. To me, each of these memories should have been at least a half a page, and then should have had a detail, which is a problem throughout this guide, is that the maps they provide are not the same map that's used in the game, so you don't have the same level of detail. It's not topographical. You can't see the layers of the mountains and stuff like that. All you can see is these little drawn sections. And trying to use this map on the actual map in the game is actually really difficult. So that was a big con for me. Was the level of detail here is just not there for what I would expect out of this guide. The next thing is, if I can find it, one of the other things is the level of detail provided by the Korok seeds. So that's something I feel like is a really big, issue in this, is that they didn't provide nearly the detail that they should have for the Korok seed. It's majorly flawed that 76% of the game or whatever is these Korok seeds. But what's an even bigger kind of laugh is the fact that the section on Korok seeds is 2 pages long. There are 900 of these bad boys you have to find throughout this game if you want to be a 100% completionist with this game. And this is what you get. You get 2 pages with some pictures and a little paragraph there, a couple paragraphs there, basically telling you that Korok seeds are sprinkled throughout the zone and what Korok seeds are and stuff like that. And then it tells you that there are lots of different types of ways you can find Korok seeds. It gives you examples of each and basically what you need to do to fix them. Well, instead of giving a detailed section in the book, what the developers did was this was their rebuttal to the fact that they only included a 2-page for 900 pieces. You will receive a seed for every Korok that you find in the wild. The location of all 900 Korok seeds is shown on the map poster supplied with this guide. Well, that's fine and good, and I'm glad that they did that. But to me, that is not an excuse to include a poster separately that shows all 900 Korok seeds, and then to have a 2-page guide to the actual seeds. To me, there should have been, even if they put like 10 on each page, yes, that still would have made 90 extra pages in this book. But to me, if you're going to make that 70 in the guide, and to me, that is a gigantic flaw in this guide. I mean, some people would argue that the poster is good enough, but to me, the guide itself should contain the information. The poster is a nice little addition, but to me, the guide itself should be the meat and potatoes of this. So, to me, that's a huge problem with this guide that isn't included. And then just in general, even the main quest section, there's a lot of little detail that I think is left out that would have made it a lot easier, especially with things like traveling to certain areas. These little arrows that they provide, which I know is hard for you guys to see because it's so small, but these little arrows they provide to show you how to get there isn't good enough because they oftentimes have it so zoomed out that you can't really tell where it's pointing. So to me, that's an issue. That's a little bit smaller because, like I said, I managed to get through it without any trouble, but that was a little bit smaller. But it's still, I found myself having to go and use online guides to solve this, to figure out main quests, side quests, Korok seeds, shrines, and that's just stupid. I shouldn't purchase a 350-page guide designed by the developers of this game, written by the developers of this game, and sold by the developers of this game, and then have to go online and find IGN or Polygon and look up online guides to help me figure out little stupid details that they didn't give me. That's just, in my opinion, that's just absolutely ridiculous. And like I said, that's another big flaw with this guide. Now, don't get me wrong, I love this book. I think it's mostly well written. It's beautiful, and for me, because I got it for $25, it's actually not too terribly expensive, especially for what you're getting. But for me, $40, even $25, but $40 especially for this book, with it having the lack of detail that it has, is just, it's kind of embarrassing, honestly. Moving on next, like I said, there's just general issues with map detail. Just about everything you find on here where they give you a map of some kind, the detail on the map is not nearly as good as it should be. For the money that you spend on this type of guide, and the dependability of it, just the map detail you get, it just sucks. It doesn't give you nearly the detail you should have. You can see it doesn't even label zones on the map. It doesn't have stables labeled. It doesn't have cities and towns and villages labeled. It doesn't even have rivers labeled where you can figure out, oh, well, this is whatever river or whatever bay. But to me, that's kind of a big deal, and that's a big issue. Like I said, these are mostly my opinions. Some people may completely disagree that some of this stuff is necessary. But for me to rate this guide as being perfect, these are huge things that would definitely prevent me from rating it as being perfect. Like I said, to me, it almost seems like the developers were working on it and had some people read it, did a couple of past runs with people reading it and playing the game with it, but then had a list of issues they meant to fix, and they just forgot and released it too early, or that time crunch happened or whatever, and that may very well have happened. I have no idea. But so next up is gonna be some of the shrine quests are also a problem, but there's one in particular that really bugged me, and I will show you guys that now, actually, because it really bothered me. And I mean, one thing I would like to say is kind of a defense of myself, just in case I'm missing something easy, is that some of these things that I may miss may be in other places in the guide, but to me it shouldn't require this much work for me to find these silly little details. Like, it's just, to me, these are stupid things that I shouldn't have to work so hard to find. Okay, so here it is. It's the Shrine Quest Secret of the Cedars, or the Tano Oa Shrine, shown here. So what it says, and one thing I don't like about the structure is a lot of times it'll talk about the location of a shrine and then mention later, oh yeah, and this is a shrine quest. To me, it should say, to start this level, go speak to this person. It shouldn't say, this shrine's located in blah, and then in the next part, to start the shrine quest, go talk to this person. To me, it should say, go talk to this person first, because with this particular shrine, I'd actually traveled out to it, and then was like, well, I want to go start the shrine quest, so I went back and talked to the person. But that's not the issue. The issue here is that this shrine quest states in the second panel, the challenge with this shrine is finding it. The clues given by Clavia should help. Look at the line formed by the 3 summit trees and follow it towards the east. You'll find destructible rocks, blah, 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 blah. Well, so that's fine and good, but the issue there, in case you guys didn't pick up on it, is that the guide never says who Clavia is or where to find her. It never says, oh, well, Clavia is located here. It just says, go talk to Clavia. Well, who the hell is Clavia and where the hell is she? That's literally what I said out loud when I was reading this. And it was just a little bit ridiculous, so I went and kind of looked for her and couldn't find anything. And so eventually I broke down and I looked it up online. Well, who the hell is Clavia and where the hell do I find her? And then I found out that online, according to this, Clavia is a person who lives in Hateno Village, and she is behind the dye shop in Hateno Village, usually from like morning to evening. That's where she stands, and she gives you this shrine quest. Well, the stupid book, instead of just telling me that, which would have taken a sentence, by the way, and you know, you can kind of see here that there's room here for that little sentence to go, detailing that information to me. That's all it would have taken, and yet they didn't include it for whatever reason. And because they didn't include it, I had trouble finding it and had to use an online guide to do so, which is stupid. I didn't pay $25 for this book so I could go online and have to look up little details. They should be in the book. Now, for the most part, it does a great job of that. There's actually a shrine a couple of pages later in the book where it tells you this person who can be found here around this time starts the shrine, which is great, which is, like I said, why it seems like the developers or the writers of this book accidentally left out little features, and then they're just oversights, things they forgot and didn't put in that they meant to put in. Like they wrote a sticky note to themselves that got covered up by papers and then just never did it. So, I mean, it's just little things like that are really what make up my cons list for it. So one little extra detail I wanted to add in is that I had stated earlier, I believe in the video, that that the walkthrough was like 300 pages or something. Well, that's actually wrong. The book, the big black pages in the book kind of stick together a little bit when you first get them. So I ended up flipping way further ahead than I meant to. Actually, the walkthrough is only pages 32 through pages 112. So it's actually only a little bit, it's not like 90-something pages of a guide, which honestly is kind of depressing. Like this little tiny chunk of the 300-page book, less than 100 pages of it, is the main guide. And I mean, to me, yes, it's pretty sufficient to give you the detail you need, but it's kind of depressing that there's 350 pages and less than 100 of them are the walkthrough. If you've seen my review, you'll know that I feel like the game is a little bit too short for what you pay for, but overall it's really good though. But to me, this alone shows you that they had another over 250 pages to work with writing the rest of this guide, and yet, as I mentioned before, there's so much detail they left out, and to me that's just, like I said, it's kind of embarrassing that they would release this with so much detail missing that would have really helped with trying to figure out how to beat simple little things in this game. So like I said, those are the issues that I have. I don't remember if I gave the book a rating at the first time of filming this, but if I had to give an updated rating, I imagine I probably gave it like an 8 or a 9 at the time. I would probably give this a 7 and possibly a 6. There's a lot of issues that are pretty glaring, and they're not issues that are just simple little things that, you know, are like, oh, that's not a big deal. To me, they're pretty big issues that the publishers of this book missed, and for that reason, I can't give it a great score. I wanted to say when I bought this book that it was perfect, but it just simply isn't. It's far from it, actually. I'll give you another example of a detail that was kind of left out. In the cooking section of the book, there is a mission where you have to provide someone with a baked apple. Well, it took me forever to find it in the guide where it states where the cooking recipes are. Well, I found it, searched through the recipes 5 times, never found anything about a baked apple. I was like, well, why in the world would they leave that out? So my first thought was, okay, well, it must be like a quest item. So then I keep looking, I keep searching through the guide. Like I said, I'm spending multiple minutes looking for this. Never find anything. So eventually I break down and Google it. And I find that there's a paper that says, online, there's a site that says, oh, to make a baked apple, drop an apple next to a fire. Oh, well, duh. So then I look through the cooking section again, 2 or 3 times, can't find that. I'm like, well, what the crap? So then finally in the cooking section, at the very top, it specifies that, like I said, in its normal small print, kind of off to the side, away from all the other recipes, it says if you want to make anything baked or anything frozen, drop it on a fire or drop it into ice, is what it says, or leave it in an icy place. To me, that's not the level of detail I expected out of this. They should have included a section that had, here's all the baked foods and here's how you make them. Here's all of the frozen foods, and here's how you make them. And here's all of the combined cooked foods, and this is how you make them. Not a little tiny paragraph that says, well, all frozen and baked foods are cooked this way, and here's how all the cooked foods are made. Another issue with that, also with the cooking section, is that there's a part of it that tells you how to make a recipe, but it doesn't tell you how many hearts it refills. It doesn't tell you how long the stamina boost or whatever you get out of it does. And it's just all these little details it doesn't tell you. And those are all things I would have expected out of this guide. I don't want to have to Google on the Zelda Wikipedia or on Polygon or on IGN or any of that. I don't want to have to look up. I bought this book to avoid that because I wanted to have that reminiscent moment like I did with my mother, where me and her read the original strategy guide to Ocarina of Time because there was no internet back then, or no usable internet, and I wanted to have this book so that it was like that experience for myself. And unfortunately, it just isn't. There's too many details missing. I get that this is a massive, massive, expansive game, and that it's hard to make every little detail known. I would have been okay with a few little details here and there, but to me, there's just way too many missing to be able to call this guide anywhere near perfect. For that reason, I'd probably give this guide a 6, maybe a 7 on the scoring sheet. I would still recommend you pick up the collector's edition version, but I definitely wouldn't recommend you spend any more than the $25 that I spent on it. I don't think it's complete enough. It calls itself the complete edition, but I don't think it's complete enough to be able to be worth $40. And honestly, I think $25 is a little bit much. But anyway, so that's my little con section of the video. And I hope you guys enjoyed this. I wanted to give a little bit more of an honest review now that I've had some time to use it, which I have at this point. So anyway, that's it for this. Alrighty guys, well that's it for this episode of Dr. Nostalgia Gamer. I hope you guys enjoyed my review and unboxing video of The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild Complete Strategy Guide Collector's Edition by Piggyback, as well as the map included. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. I liked doing this video. I'm super, super duper excited to have this item, and I'm actually going to go use it literally right now. I'm going to go play Breath of the Wild. I'm going to use this guide to help me figure out a couple of things that I had questions about as I was playing. Funny enough, I've actually been forcing myself not to play Breath of the Wild recently, at least as much. I've been just kind of farting around and running around, killing monsters, finding random treasure chests and whatnot, and just kind of doing random stuff because I wanted to make sure that I got good use out of the strategy guide and that I didn't, beat the game or find a whole bunch of hard-to-find secret stuff before getting the strategy guide in the mail. But anyway, so now that I've got it, I'm going to go ham and I'm going to go play some more Breath of the Wild, try to beat some more main missions as well as some of the side missions and find some of the secret shrines and the towers and shrine quests and the just plethora of stuff you have to do in this game. I'm super excited to have gotten this item. I hope you guys enjoyed the review. If you guys did, I hope you guys will leave a like, a comment, and we'll push that subscribe button. My name's Dr. Nostalgia Gamer, and I'll catch you guys next time.